Welcome friends, in this video let's discuss about the Convention on Biological Diversity. So this is the most important convention for the production of biodiversity throughout the world. This Convention on Biological Diversity was opened for signing during Rio Earth Summit, that is the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. So this UNCED, that is the Rio Earth Summit, opened for signing the three important conventions called Rio Convention, that is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and Convention on Biological Diversity, and United Nations Convention to combat desertification. So among these three conventions that was opened for signing during Rio Earth Summit, this Convention on Biological Diversity is one of these. Okay, and under this Convention on Biological Diversity, we have two important protocols, that is the Cartagena Protocol on biosafety and Nagoya Protocol on access to genetic resources and benefit sharing, and one target, that is the Aichi target, to reduce the threats to biodiversity. Okay, so these three are the sister protocols which born out of Convention on Biological Diversity. So let's look at in detail about this. The Convention on Biological Diversity is a legally binding convention. It is a legally binding, not voluntary, okay? Legally binding convention recognized for the first time that the conservation of biological diversity is a common concern of humankind and is an integral part of development process. So for the first time, the conservation of biodiversity is a common concern of the humankind. Okay, it was decided in this convention, and this conservation of biodiversity is an integral part of development process. In the process of development of a country, the conservation of biological diversity should also be taken into account. So this is the main theme of this CBD. Okay, the agreement covers not only the major plants and animals, it covers all the species, even the smallest of the small species like bacteria and fungi, and all the ecosystem, all genetic resources. So this is the main importance of this convention. And the convention has three important goals. These include conservation of biological diversity and sustainable use of components of biological diversity. So biodiversity has various products which are useful for the humankind. So sustainable use of these components of biodiversity is the main goal of CBD. And third goal is sharing of benefits arising from the commercial and other utilization of genetic resources in a fair and equitable manner. So benefit sharing with the local communities or with the local governments is the main aim of this Convention of Biological Diversity. The major issues that are discussed and decided under this convention includes that the biodiversity is the common concern of humankind, as discussed in the goal. Okay, it is the common concern of the all the humankind, not only a section of a country or not only a part of the world. Okay, and the countries have the sovereign right over their biological diversity. They have the right over the biodiversity that are present within their territories. So they have the right to conserve the same. Okay, they have the obligation to conserve the same, and the states are required to create national biodiversity strategies and action plans for the conservation of biodiversity. So this is the binding obligation for the member countries. Okay, and the measures and incentives for the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity are also covered under this convention. And this convention also provides for regulated access to genetic resources and traditional knowledge, including prior informed consent of the party providing resources. So here, why the so someone has to get the genetic resource benefit of genetic resources? Because the biodiversity has various products. These include which are useful for mankind. Okay, for example, in a forest we have various genetic resources, including the wild plants. Okay, wild plants. These wild plants include the counterparts of our the present day crops, including wheat, rice, barley. Okay, and these wild varieties are growing in the forests. I'm giving you here an example. These wild varieties are growing in the forest, and these varieties may have various important characteristics. Okay, this includes resistance to drought, that is water scarcity, resistance to certain pests and diseases. Okay, so these characters can be included in the breeding mechanism for designing better crops. Okay, so various multinational companies like large seed corporations need these genetic materials for developing seeds of the important crops. So they need to assess the genetic resources. For that, they need the permission from the local government. So here, the Convention on Biological Diversity come into picture. It provides regulated access to genetic resources and traditional knowledge. Okay, so if India has this genetic resource, if United States MNC wants to assess this genetic resource, then it has to provide royalty to the local government or local body in order to assess this genetic resource. So this is the gist of assess and benefit sharing. Okay, and other include the sharing in a fair and equitable way the result of research and development and the benefit arising from commercial and other utilization of genetic resources. So as I discussed earlier, so if this MNC produces an important, very high yielding variety by utilizing the genetic resources present in the forest, then this MNC has to provide the equal benefit to the local community as well as this country, because it utilizes the genetic resources of these countries. So sharing in fair and equitable way the result of research and development has to be given. Okay, so this is the gist of this. And access to technology, access to transfer of technology including biotechnology to the governments and our local communities that provide traditional knowledge and biodiversity resources. So if a technology is developed by using the local resources, that is the local genetic resources or biodiversity resources, that has to be provided to the local government as well by these MNCs or other agencies. So this is the gist of this. And the technical and scientific cooperation is also envisaged under this convention, and coordination of a global directory of taxonomic expertise. Okay, and various different classification of plants and animals should be made in order to utilize this for the betterment of the humankind. And impact assessment, education and public awareness, and provision of financial resources from the developed countries to the developing countries for the management of biodiversity in a sustainable way. So these are all the important things that are covered under convention. Please remember some of the points in this from the view of examination. So this convention is managed, okay, through conference of parties. So member countries represent their own countries through representatives, and these representatives meet together in a forum called conference of parties. So these conference of parties take important decisions regarding the governance, development, and also implementation of the provision of under the convention. So all in all, 195 countries along with the European Union countries are parties to the convention. So these are the members. 195 countries are the members to the convention, but with the exception of the United States. So United States has not ratified Convention on Biological Diversity. This is the only major country that is outside the Convention on Biological Diversity. So this is important. And let's look at the meeting of the parties to the convention. So the conference of parties, the first met in 1994 at Nassau in Bahamas, the COP first, okay? And in 2000, the conference of parties met at Cartagena. So under this conference, Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety was agreed. Okay, so we know that the convention is a forum for meeting various countries to decide on a particular issue. Here, the Convention on Biological Diversity, and to implement the objectives and decisions of this convention, the conference of parties will decide for a particular protocol. Okay, this protocol will lay down detailed decisions, procedures, and other institutional mechanisms that must be followed by the countries to bring the reality of the convention. So this is the difference between convention and protocol. So in 2000, the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety was agreed by the conference of parties to preserve the biodiversity. That is the main aim of the Convention on Biological Diversity. And in conference of party, 10th conference of party in 2010, Nagoya Protocol, that is in Nagoya, okay, Nagoya Protocol on access to biodiversity and benefit sharing was decided, and Aichi biodiversity target was fixed for reducing threats to biodiversity. So this COP10 is important from the point of view of examination. And in conference of party 11 that occurred in Hyderabad, okay, in 2012, and in 2014 COP12 was met in Pyongyang in Republic of South Korea. Okay, and 2016 conference of party 13 conference of parties will be held in Los Cabos, Baja California South in Mexico. So next will be Mexico. So this is about the Convention on Biological Diversity. Broadly, this biodiversity led to convention led to two important protocol, that is the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety and Nagoya Protocol on access to genetic resources and benefit sharing, and Aichi biodiversity targets. This is important here. And this, let's look at the Conference of Parties, 11th Conference of Party that occurred in Hyderabad. So in this conference, India committed in this conference, the countries committed to double the international financial flows for biodiversity by 2015. Okay, and India undertake a pledge called Hyderabad Pledge, under which India is setting aside US $50 million to strengthen the institutional mechanism for biodiversity conservation in the country. And India took charge of the presidency of Convention of Biodiversity from Japan, and this is the thing about Hyderabad Convention. So thanks for watching this. In my coming videos, let's discuss about Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, that is the protocol under Convention on Biological Diversity, and Nagoya Protocol for access to genetic resources and benefit sharing, that is also another protocol under Convention, and Aichi biodiversity targets. These three are covered under different videos to bring comprehensiveness in the matter. Thank you.